I saw Tom Brokaw, the NBC anchorman, on the news this morning, and he has done a program called "Where Were You the Day JFK Died." So that gave me an idea that I would do my story along those lines. I was 12 years old in 7th grade in Vestal Junior High School in Vestal, New York. November 22nd, 1963 was a Friday as well. And I really don't remember anything about that day before 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that was when things started to be said about President Kennedy and that something had happened to him. And what they were saying were really unbelievable things. My earliest memory of John F. Kennedy goes back to January 20th, 1961, Inauguration Day. I was 9 years old and I was homesick from school that day, so I got to lay on the couch and watch TV all day, so I watched the inauguration. And I got interested in these things, and President Kennedy would have press conferences. On the average, he had one about every 2 weeks during his presidency, and they used to usually be about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I was home from school in time. They would televise these press conferences, and I got to watch them on TV, and I really enjoyed them. I was learning about politics and about government, but they were also very entertaining. Kennedy was a charismatic guy with a really good sense of humor. In 1961, somewhere along the way, we got a little catalog in our class from Scholastic Book Services. And what this was a service where the students could order books, and through this service, the teacher would place the order, we would get the books. I looked through the catalog and I found a book about President Kennedy. And I filled out the order form, I took it home. I asked my mom if she would give me the money for the book, and she did. And this is that book. It's called John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Youngest President. And I know that I ordered a lot of other books through Scholastic Book Service, but I don't remember a single one. And I don't have any of them. This is the only one I have. I've had this book now for 53 years. On November 22nd at about 2 p.m., I was coming down the stairs to go to 8th period literature class taught by Mrs. Kelly. There was a water fountain across the hallway from that classroom, and that water fountain had the best tasting and the coldest water in the whole school. So everybody wanted to get a drink of water at that fountain. I got a drink of water before class, and just as I was starting to go into the room, my friend Scott comes by and he goes, "Hey, did you hear the president got shot?" Now Scott was a guy that was always telling jokes and being funny, and so I thought, come on Scott, that isn't even funny. Don't say something like that. So I go in and sit down, and the other students are coming in, and one of the girls comes in and she says, "Hey, I just went by the main office and I saw Mrs. Moore crying." Now Mrs. Moore was my English teacher. So the bell rang and Mrs. Kelly comes in and she's crying also. Now at this point I started to get a little bit scared. I'm 12 years old. I'm not sure what's going on, and I'm not sure what's going to happen next. She says, "Class, I have something that I have to tell you. The report is that President Kennedy has been shot. I don't have any other details. I don't know anything else. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens." Well, it wasn't very long before the principal came on the PA system and said that President Kennedy was dead. School was being dismissed immediately. The buses were being brought around, and everyone should go home. So that began a weekend of watching television the constant coverage of the events surrounding the assassination and up to the funeral that was on Monday. Now, I had a paper that was due on Monday, and I had intended to work on it over the weekend, and I did a little bit, but when I got to Monday morning, I was able to finally sit down and finish the paper, although I don't think I did a very good job. I wanted to get it done before the afternoon because that's when the funeral was going to be on. I know that there are dates in our history where people always remember where they were. December 7th, 1941, September 11th, 2001, November 22nd, 1963. That day and those events are seared in my mind like a movie that I can call on and play anytime I want. And that's where I was on the day that John F. Kennedy died.